I'm Karin. This story involves some adult abuse and some pain as a trigger warning. At the end of the whole thing, I was the lucky one. I'd come out from Omaha, Nebraska to Seattle to do stand-up comedy. And I did it for a few years, not very well, but I did it. And I even got paid for it a couple times. Eventually I started moving into acting. I heard about this guy who came up from LA to teach classes up here periodically. And he was coming up. It was a one-day class, and I thought, hey, this will be great. So I signed up. Greg came into town, brought in by his assistant, Kate. The names have been changed because this industry is very, very small. The class was held at the old Greenwood Library before they rebuilt it. And I walked into the room, sat down, and realized that something weird was going on here, all right? First off, it seemed like everybody in the room knew each other. And not only did they know each other, but they seemed to be apostles of Greg, worshiping at his altar. And I felt kind of like the odd one out here. Then they all started taking pictures of him. And they're running around, trying to get the great angles, jumping around. He's helping by posing, like, he kind of reminded me of an aging 70s beefcake. I'm like, am I really going down some sort of weird gopher hole here? So anyway, class started. Now this was a monologue character solo performance class, and everyone was supposed to bring something in. So I did. I brought something in. But every other actor in that class got up on that stage, looked that man in the eye, and told him, I didn't bring anything in. Choose for me. The only one who brought something in was me. And I will admit, I was feeling a little bit superior about being the only one who knows how to follow instructions. So anyway, it was my turn. I got up on stage, and I told them, I said, I have a glimmer of an idea. I want to take a character from birth to death in clown. Now, I don't know anything about clown. It's just an idea, something for me to work on, but something I was very excited about. So he said, well, go ahead and describe it for me. So I'm up on the stage. I'm all over the place. I'm describing everything, rolling on the floor, being all passionate about the whole thing. When suddenly Greg jumps up, rushes over to me, points his finger, and starts screaming at me. And he screamed, you suck. You will never be any good. You will never be as good as Marcel. Over and over and over again. And if that wasn't bad enough, Kate and the rest of the students jumped up, circled me, pointed their fingers, and started screaming the same thing. You suck. You'll never be any good. You'll never be as good as Marcel. Over and over again. Anyway, I'm on the ground, looking up at screaming faces and pointing fingers, having probably one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. I don't even know what to think and feel. And then it was over. We all got up and went and sat in our seats. And I waited. Because this is an acting class, and horrible things happen in acting classes sometimes. I was waiting for the lesson I needed to learn that would make that okay. But it never came. In fact, Greg just sat there giving me dirty looks for the rest of the class. After the class was done, I was so confused and upset that I ended up crying in Kate's arms. And I looked in her eyes, and I knew that she knew that this was wrong. She knew. I was so confused by the whole situation that I actually apologized to Greg. He didn't bring me back from that harsh edge. There was no lesson to be learned. This was an attack. The lesson I got from this, since I was still a pretty new actor, was that in order to be a successful actor, you need to have no integrity, no self-esteem. You need to be able to take shit and deal it out. Sometimes I wonder if that isn't still true. for a long time there, years, I couldn't get away from it. I'd be walking down the street and end up in a conversation with someone about Greg. It's like I had a sign over my head saying, abused actor here. You know, I tell everybody the same thing. That man has no business teaching anyone. And this is not the way the industry works. I was trying to convince myself. I didn't even need to be a part of the conversation. Sometimes it'd be two people arguing at a bus stop. I couldn't get away from it. Sometimes people will come up to me and say, Karen, I never saw that side of him. Never saw that side. And all I could think of is, if there was just one person in his class that he actually respected, it wouldn't have happened. And in LA, where actors are a little bit more sophisticated than they are up here, they probably wouldn't put up with it. I sent him a message asking for an apology. It was ignored. I sent Kate a message saying, explaining my pain and my position on the whole matter. And she sent me back a message saying, I'm sorry you feel that way. And then a year later, she contacted me asking me if I was ready to come back to class. As if. See, actors need to have a thick skin. We all know that. But that thick skin has to do with rejection and taking direction. It has nothing to do with abuse. Nothing at all. Greg passed away a couple years ago, so there will really be no resolution with him. I often wonder to myself, if I had followed the lead of all those other actors and just gone up there and said, I have nothing, choose for me, would things have been different? And I think yes, it probably would have. I may have gotten emotionally involved with this group. I may have attributed more respect to Greg than he actually deserved. I may have been one of the students who pointed their finger and screamed at another actor on the floor. But that's not what happened, because I got lucky. They showed me their face right away, taught me that I need to be careful. I need to be careful of who teaches me, and I need to have boundaries. I wasn't the one who sucked. I was the lucky one. Because even though that experience has affected me negatively for the past 25 years, out of everyone who was in that class that day, I really was the lucky one. So very lucky. Thank you.